But I want to give you guys a super treat today because this young man, guys, we go way cracking up way back. But let me tell you something about Scotty Popsicle. Scotty Popsicle, since we're all in Excel together, and here's the Excel Phenomena book. We made history. We made millions of dollars way before Microsoft. I mean, we broke all the records, and that was part of the history that we have in common. And since then, he went on to be top in network marketer in not one but two separate companies. The number one in network marketing, two separate companies. And I just came with you guys here, give you an idea of the history, but not only that, what network marketing has done for so many people. And this is the first of a series I'm doing this week and next week. And we're going to have some fun with this because I want you guys to understand people in our industry there is phenomenal. Without further ado, everybody, I just want to welcome a dear friend of mine, Mr. Scotty Popsicle.
Great. Thank you so much for that way overdone, whatever you want, introduction. Al, you've always been, you're a gift. I call people like you a treasure. And I am going to start, if you don't mind, and just tell them how I met you. Is that okay? Here, I am a junior college basketball coach. In 1994, I joined a company that Al was a part of. Didn't know who Al was. Got started, like I said, in January. Think I'm doing pretty good. I go to this event called the Presidential Wave. And there's 4 different presidential directors. And I will never, ever forget Al Thomas in the back of the room. When they introduced him, he sprinted down the hall in between the 2 rows of chairs, and he jumped up on the stage and he did his standard hoo-hoo. And it was the most dynamic speaker I had ever heard in my life. And all I said to myself was, I don't think I can ever be that good. But what he had to say, it touched my heart. And it let me know that it didn't matter who you were, that this was an opportunity for you. And I've always drawn inspiration from Al. And we've traveled around, we've done big meetings together, flown on a bunch of private jets, and done some great things. And Al is an icon, and I know you guys all know this, and it's not me just blowing him up to blow him up. The bottom line is, when you say his name, your credibility goes up. And but I use Al's name all the time. Al, thank you. I love you. And you are truly a great inspiration just to so many. You don't even have to do this. And I appreciate you doing it.
Well, man, I appreciate you so much. And we go so far back, and I thank you for that. There was 4 presidential directors handpicked by the owner of the company, Kenny Trout, who's our billionaire mentor, and one of the 3 billionaires that trained me. And I want you to talk a little bit about maybe before we go into your background and what you did. Let's just do that. Let's go and tell us a little bit about since we left, parted ways from Excel, got bought. Kenny sold it for $1.1 billion, which we never thought would happen. And I went to ACN, and you went with Kenny. And tell us a little bit about your background with Kenny, and then how you hit the top of 2 different MLM companies. I think.
Well, first of all, I was devastated, and that went away because I'd been poor all my life and didn't know I was poor. I was rich in heart, rich in spirit, but I never had money. And, I didn't come from money. So, what Excel did for me and my family was it completely changed the trajectory of how I was going to live my life for the next, 30 years. I mean, I'm 63 today, and my life has forever been changed because of Kenny Trout. And so Kenny Trout called me on the phone, and Al, you know this, because when Kenny would call you, you would stop whatever you're doing. And you would look on your phone, it was over, you'd call someone and say, hey, Al, listen, I just talked to Kenny Trout for 53 minutes and 27 seconds. And so, I mean, it's just what we did. We would tell those stories, because he's the king, right? And so I'm driving down the road, and he calls me, and I'm like, hey, how are you, Kenny? He goes, I'm just having a really tough time. with my son's basketball teams. I had to fire a second coach. And I said to him, because, Al, for so many years, he's gifted us checks for Christmas. It's bizarre for years and years and years. And I said, well, Kenny, if I can ever help you in any way, you let me know. I'll be more than happy to help you. And he said, you would move to Dallas, Texas? I'm living in Jupiter, Florida, got a really cool place. I didn't say that I would move to Dallas, Texas. But when he said that to me, I said, well, Kenny, anything you need. And he says, well, I'll tell you what I want you to do. You go home, talk to your wife, ask her what she thinks, call me back. So I walk into the house. I said, honey, Kenny Trout called. And she goes, oh, great. How's Kenny? Women, they ask questions. And she goes, well, what's up? I said, well, he's interested in wanting to know if we would move to Dallas, Texas, and I would become the coach for his son's basketball teams. Here's another glorious woman question. Well, mother, wife, how much is he going to pay you? I said, I don't know. I go, but I need to tell him if you're interested. She goes, I'm interested. We had just played in a tournament in our local community and won and pissed off half our neighborhood because they're not on. We beat them. You know how youth sports is. Everybody's mad except for us. So I call him back and I said, Kenny, I said, yeah, yeah, we're interested. He says, give me 24 hours. This is at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. 10 o'clock the next morning, Larry Novak, may rest in peace.
Yeah. Remember Larry? Yep.
Yeah. Calls me up and says, Kenny's going to do this, 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 and this. I looked at my wife and I said, Kenny's going to do this, this. I didn't get to the third, fourth, or fifth this. And she goes, we're in. And we moved to Dallas, Texas, and I became the basketball coach of the Texas Titans. And we flew around the country for 9 years, 10 years private, 3 first-round draft picks, Julius Randle, Cade Cunningham, the first pick, Julius, the 7th pick, Damian Jones, the 30th pick. Won 8 national championships, and just did it the right way. And when I say this to you, because this matters in the industry that we're in, in the network marketing industry, do things the right way. Hold people accountable and we always say this, as long as nobody cares who gets the credit, who wins, we're all going to do really, really well. And so Kenny Trout put us in this magnificent environment. One year, I think we spent he spent $3.1 million on our 2 teams. And you guys are probably going, what do you mean? Oh, yeah, it was more than, Butler did that year and they got beat in the NCAA championship. But we did it the right way. And so I was able to do that. And through that, I met Avery Johnson. Avery Johnson at the time was the head basketball coach of the Dallas Mavericks. Next thing you know, he comes to me and says, can you put your son on my team? Or can I put my son on your team? I said, sure. He then gets the job at Alabama. He then hires me. I'm there with him for 1 year at the University of Alabama. I come back and I get involved in a company back in network marketing, which I will say this to you. I love being a basketball coach. It's in my heart. It's in my blood. But there is not a better industry to be in when it's up and running and doing right than the network marketing industry. And, Al, I'm not for sure, but I remember at our convention one year, I was in my first year or my second year. And I'm thinking I'm doing pretty well. I had a $23,000 month. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to, people know who I am. They're saying hi to me. I go, I'm going to be a top 10 income earner, right? I'm like killing it. So they go up and they're going to bring the top 10 income earners on stage. And they're going to give them those big checks. And I'm sitting there going, okay, they're going to call my name, baby. Let's go. And number 10 was 74,500 and some dollars. And it was Chuck and Sandra Hoover. And I damn near died. I was like, ugh. It ruined my whole day. I was devastated. I'll never forget it. I'm like going, Al, you're up there at 169,000. Paul was at, 514 that year. Then the next year he cracked 1 million. And I'm like, I'll never make it. Now think about how selfish of a thought that is. I just made $23,000, right? And I'm thinking I'm bad, right? I'm like, hey, what's up? Let's go, right? And all of a sudden, this guy rolls up, and then some little dude I've never seen in my life is up there at 105. Voigt's at 104,000. And I'm like, I got to get to work. I got to get to work. But, so I became a basketball coach, got out of the basketball industry, went back into direct sales. And, you know, hell, I always tell people when they ask me how I'm doing, I said, listen, for an old guy with gray hair and a great attitude, I could not be better.
Yeah, yeah. I think that let's give Scotty a toss to the head.
No.
That's a good story. Hey, yeah, I remember that year, and I think one of those years I was that you. Oh, that was. I'm sorry, I'm thinking about Swagger. He was sitting behind me and gave me that gold Rolex watch, and I didn't know how to. Anyway, he told that story. But the last time we saw each other, actually, I flew in town for Larry Novak's funeral. That's the last time we all saw each other together. It was like an XL reunion. I mean, all of us there. I mean, it was amazing. I flew in. I got the word, and I was on the road, and I flew in for a couple hours, and I flew out that night just to be there out of respect for Larry Novak and the group. And it was a great reunion, man. That was just like saw Lee Lemon, saw Steve Smith, Kenny Trout was there. I mean, the list goes on. Russ was there. God, it was just a fantastic, sad time to come together, but a blessing to get together. Then remember the time we used to go out to Steve Smith's ranch? We go out there and have one of his many ranches. Tell a little bit about that a little bit.
You know, again, when you don't come from money, you don't vacation like other people vacation. Like you just don't. And I don't know why I'm going to get emotional about this, but when you did good enough or well enough in our company, you got recognized by getting invited. And I'd never been to a ranch before in my life, so we get invited to Steve Smith's ranch.
I'm,
And
I'm a butt in real quick. Steve Smith, I think at that time had like four different ranches, folks, 4 or 5 ranches.
yep,
I mean, we're talking about 5, 6, 10,000 acres.
yeah.
Keep going.
And so you fly in, you get in the car, and I'd never been to Texas before, and people in Texas on the outside roads out in the country, if they're driving slow in front of you, they pull over to the right and let you pass. Well, in Florida, we don't do that. And, these people are nice people here, right? But I remember going out there and just meeting all these different types of people. And in my life, I've been blessed to either play on or coach a lot of different championship teams, national championship teams. And that team that we played on, we were a national championship team. And we're forever bonded by the experiences and the relationships that we had. And we're forever, I don't have to see Al Thomas for 10 years. And if I see him in the 11th year, it's like we haven't missed a beat. Because there's that, it creates such a winning environment. And you want to work hard. And I remember making the Eagle team and going up and shaking Steve Smith's hand and Kenny's hand. And I said, listen, I just wanted to make sure I got on the team. Now you watch and see what happens. And I'm gonna do a really, really good job for you guys. I promise I am. And but yeah, it becomes such a brotherhood, such a family, that it's not that you don't have your old friends, because you do, but you start making new friends that are like-minded like you. And you start, chasing some of the same goals. And when our paths are aligned, right? When we have we're like-minded, it's insane what you can do. And so you want to work hard and get to these events, and watch Al Thomas smoke a cigar and tell stories. Hell, he's the greatest storyteller I know. One of them anyway, for sure.
You know, a lot of people, I want people, and the reason I'm so glad that you said yes to come on the channel because I want to give people a vision. I've been around 33 years doing this. And, like the Bible says, a prophet's not warned his own country. Sometimes when somebody comes from the outside who they never met, like yourself, and you could talk about back in the day and things we did to build a big organization and getting those big checks for a couple $100,000 a month. I want people to understand this is real. You're in a real place at a real company. Scott Popsicle has been the top of both the other companies I guess, excuse me, they were product companies. But I want you to get some history about, he said, as a coach, this has been great, but network marketing is the way to go, especially today in today's environment where a person come in with a few dollars and roll their sleeves up and get off their backside and really put it in. I mean, I was telling a story about it. I went door knocking. I told that to some leaders a couple of weeks ago, and they're like, "What? Yeah, we did whatever it took because we didn't have no fear." People today are so lackadaisical. They don't. We're so used to instant coffee, instant food, instant. We don't want to do nothing for money. But I want him to share with you some of the stories. You know what's kind of funny? As the Excel Phenomenon book came out, and I show this sometimes. There's me and Kenny in the book together, and I opened the book up. This had to be a couple months ago. Scotty, you're gonna laugh at this. We were moving so fast, making so much money. When I was telling people I was doing a couple $100,000 a month, it blows their mind. 8,000 apps coming to my downline a month. We're moving so fast. Scotty, look here. I forgot to cash a check. Look, I forgot to cash. You think I can call Kenny? This is a check uh, that I forgot to cash. $7,253.65 dated August 18th, 2005. I forgot to. We were moving so fast. This was in my book, and I just can't. I didn't know I missed it. I wonder if I can still cash it.
Al, we were on George Bush's plane that he flew to get inaugurated as the president of the United States. So Kenny had leased that jet, and you're on the plane, I'm on the plane, I'm new on the plane, you're on the plane, and Paul Orberson. And I'll
Oh
never
wow!
forget. There's couches on this plane. It's like you see on TV, right? And this is something that puts things in perspective. Okay. And as we're sitting there, Russ Nolan is sitting, like I'm in a captain's chair. There's a table between us, and you and Paul and Kenny are on a couch. And they bring out these stone crabs, cracked. They bring out medallion lobster, cut up medallion style, big shrimp, and what else? Hell, they did the scallops, the lobster, the shrimp, and king crab. So anyway, so they're doing this, and I look at it, and I'm looking around because I think it's for everybody, right? And they said, and Russ Nolan goes, no, that's for you. That's what he mean. Paul Orberson goes, Scotty, this is how it ought to be. It doesn't have to be the other way. Now think about that one for a second. This is how it ought to be. It doesn't have to be the other way. And, so many times in our lives, we look around at our surroundings or how we were raised or other people, and we always go, why is it them? Or, man, how great is that, man? Way to go, right? Why can't it be us? That doesn't mean we're not going to have some ups and downs. We are. But I got to tell you something, that was some of the best lobster I've ever eaten in my life. And it's one of those things where, and then I'm going to tell you something else. And it's really important to understand this because I have kids, right? I have triplet daughters that are 27, and I have a son that's 32 now. I was married for 33 years. I'm divorced, but I have a magnificent love of my life. I always say we're second half players. You win championships not in the first half, in the second half, and so my son and I are like this. We've always been best friends. And you pray that you have those relationships with your kids. And my son was all of a sudden getting seizures. It was really scary. He's getting them as an older adult now. And, he got in a car wreck, had seizure. I mean, it was just really scary. And he said to me, he goes, Daddy, he goes, if this is it, This is all I get. What a life we've lived. And this life we've lived has not been because I did a 9 to 5. It's because I chose to do something else, something different, something that was out of the norm. And I just, I didn't want to be, I wanted to have a different life. I wanted a different life from my kids. And you can all make excuses. Well, I can't talk like him, or I can't speak. I'm afraid to do this, or I don't look like this person. I don't look like that person. Hell, I mean, when's the last time you ever looked at Bill Gates and thought he was handsome? Right? When is the last time you looked at some of these people on TV? What's that lady's name that's always playing in the funny comedies? She's a pretty good sized girl. She's funnier and funny, but it's not like you're bridesmaid, whatever she is. But I mean, God bless her. She's a multi-gazillionaire because she got out of her comfort zone. And we don't even have to have degrees. We don't have to go to school. We don't have to go anywhere other than maybe having a little hope and then start having some success and believing. Really, at the end of the day, that's what it is. And then you got to say to yourself, I don't give a damn how old I am. I don't care if I got gray hair or no hair. I don't care if I'm fat, skinny, black, white, blue. I don't care. I want to live a better life. I want to help people. I want to bless people. When you have that attitude right there, you're going to go do some talking. You're going to walk into Walmart when you see someone and you're going to smile and say, hey, how are you? Ma'am, your hair looks nice today. You're going to find a way to start a conversation with somebody. Because if you'll do that, you're going to help that person. That person will show up at your funeral. That person will want to help you when you need a damn refrigerator moved, which nobody really wants to help you. All right. But those people, you're going to have an impact on their lives. And because you do,
You just brought back no, that touched my heart because I reflected back on my why. Folks, what is your why? And a lot of people start off with a why and then it just gets watered down and they lose the vision and they quit because they didn't have a strong enough why and stick with it. And I remember as you were talking, Scotty, I'm going back and way back in thinking. I remember I came on stage, do my talk at the celebration on stage, and I came on stage and brought my daughter with me. She was still a baby. She's about 3 years old. I carried her out on stage and I held her up like what's that movie, Lion King? And
yeah.
I said to everybody, here's my why. I held her up. I said, here's my why. And I started crying at the podium. And I took her back off stage. I came back to do my talk. Folks, what is your why? If your why is not going to make you cry, make you go out there, that motivated me to go take care of my kids so they could all go to private school. Hey, that chapter of my life is closed, but I did the best that I could do
Yeah.
because God gave me the talent to do it, just like each and every one of you. You just got to get out of your own DAM way. That's all I'm saying. You know, I'm thinking back what Scotty said also. I'm going to highlight every Christmas, Kenny would send us a check. Now, watch this. Here's a billionaire sending us a check 20, for, what was it, 20 years, I think, 20 years. And this is his way of saying, hey, job well done. Job well done. And I mean, there were healthy checks. In fact, I donate. I guess we could. There were some big checks he would send. Now it was about 20, 25 or 30 of us. He sent big checks to every year.
Yeah. Al, the first time I got it,
Uh
I
huh.
thought it was $2,000. So I told my wife, I opened it up. I said, honey, you're not going to believe this. Kenny Trout sent us a $2,000 check for Christmas. What? Because, $2,000 is a lot. There's not one of us here that won't take it. And she
That's
goes, let me
right.
see it. So I give it to her and she goes, oh. I go, what? She goes, it's 20,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody got a better bike. Kids got
Yeah.
a little bit better. I mean, and I listen, Al, to this day, because, I was his basketball coach for his kids for all those years. I'm still blessed to this day. I go to his
Yeah.
Bible study on Mondays and
Yep.
see him and Nick Merrick in that group and Pete Whitman.
And Pete. And Pete.
Yeah,
Yeah. We talked. Yeah.
yep,
Yeah. I remember those checks for 20 grand every year,
yep.
folks. For for 20. 20 years.
Yeah.
Every Christmas, 20 grand, 20 grand, 20 grand. Now think about it, not just once. Take 20 times 20 years. Folks, I'm trying to tell you because we helped build that company. He felt the need to give back to the leaders that helped them build that empire, even after he cashed out $1.1 billion.
Yeah. Now
And then
that's and plus it's a gift, so it's tax free. But who cares?
yeah. I hope this call today moves you guys in the right direction. There is so much money on the table in this industry, but we're not going at it like some of you guys on my challenge group. I'm pushing you guys hard because you said you wanted something. My job as a leader is show up and give it to you, but you got to get off your backside to go get it. Wow, man, this has been a blessing. Scotty, I want to say thank you because you just delivered the goods. I hope everybody understands that all the money is at your fingertips. All you got to go do is earn it. That's right, 20 grand for 20 years is $400,000. He gave away to a bunch of us, 20 or 30 of us, every Christmas, every Christmas. And I would take a lot of my money and I'd get it down to $5 and $10, and I'd go out to the missions and give it away. I gave a lot of it away. Matter of fact, the first couple of years I took my kids down there to give some of that money away to people on the street. Brian Baker went with me. He was like my security guy, going down there with me. Is Mr. Brian Baker on the phone? He went down there with me. And my kids were freaking out when I went down to the homeless shelter to give this out, and they would all bum rush the car because we had money. And I mean, every year they saw. And unfortunately, every year I went down, there were some people there 2 and 3 years. They knew me when I showed up, and we'd bum rush the car. My kids were scared a little bit. Mr. Brian Baker with me, like some security, and we would give out most of that money. Most of it, I'm telling you,
Amazing feeling.
it's amazing feeling. I want everyone to even experience that because the blessing was, oh my God. I want you guys to have that same kind of blessing and feel about it. Scotty, just give us a few more words before we get out of here.
Oh, I will. I am a basketball coach also today, and I coach. There's a young man by the name of Anthony Black, who is the sixth pick in the first round of the NBA draft, plays for the Orlando Magic, played at Arkansas. Well, they came to me and said, would you please take your team, your organization, and we'll play under the AB Elite, Anthony Black Elite logo. So we do. And they're great family and just an amazing, humble family. Well, the other day, I get an envelope in the mail, and it's this little kid with two basketball cards of Anthony Black and a handwritten note that says, hopefully someday I can play on AB Elite. And if you don't mind, could you have Anthony sign these cards? It'll be my dream someday to have them. And he goes, I've enclosed a donation to your basketball program. $2. It was the greatest donation I've ever received in my life. $2. Because what that $2 was to him was so much larger. I mean, it was amazing that this young man thought enough and he put $2 in. And someone said, you can send it back. And I said, no, I'm going to give it to Anthony Black and Jennifer Black, the mother, and they're going to take care of this. But that $2 meant a lot to him.
That's right.
And see, when you have a giving heart, you don't have to give big. It doesn't mean you have to give big. You just have to give. You have to. I learned valuable lessons from my dad about, picking up a tab at a restaurant or buying somebody's groceries, all those kind of, but it's the little things. And I honestly believe if you have the, we call it the attitude of gratitude, a grateful heart, you have that, your life is going to be better and people are going to want to gravitate to you. And you don't have to, just remember this too. You don't have to be the star. You don't. You can find somebody who finds somebody who finds somebody who becomes the star, and you get paid as well. Just remember that. Just remember that. It's not, don't look in the mirror. I mean, you can look in the mirror and go, man, I see greatness. I love that. But you just go pass the baton to somebody who passes it to somebody who passes it to somebody whose why's bigger than yours, and they go crazy. Bless them. Bless everybody. Way to go. and your life is forever changed. That's another reason I love this industry. It's not all
Mhm.
about you.
Yeah. Well, in closing here, you're with Terry now, Terry Lincor. You want to share a little bit about that guy? What are you doing with him right now?
Yeah. Well, Terry LaCour, I'm in a network marketing company now. I was the number one income earner in one company for 6 years, and I'm a top income earner in another company, but not the number one. I wished I was the number one in the one I'm with right now. I'd be a
Okay.
lot more handsome. Some of these ladies on here might look at me and go, "Damn, he's looking good." Right? They get past the gray hair and the wrinkles and all that kind of stuff. I'd stand up, I'd be 6'4", 205, cut out of steel instead of 5'10". And so anyway, I got my girl over here, Catherine Williams, smiling. Thank you, Catherine. I appreciate the smile. You and Jackie make me feel good. I can't get Sharon Edwards to smile, but I'm going to work on it. Come on, Sharon, help me out a little bit. I know Adrian's smiling. Come on. So anyway, so here I am. Here I am, and this is a guy that is a legend in network marketing. Owns 141 different companies, part owner of Prove It, just a bunch of them,
Yep.
right? He's like Kenny Trout. He's got kids and he wants them to live a great life. And he wants them to be in a disciplined environment so where they don't feel entitled. So he reached out to me, hired me to become his basketball coach for his entire organization. And so that's what I do. I'm full time in the network marketing world, but I'm also full time in the youth basketball world, and love it. And so I
Yeah.
don't have a lot of spare time, a lot of free time in the sense of, I'm normally going one direction or this direction, but um, because think about this. Let me just. I said yes on January 3rd, 1994, to a college president that called me up and told me about Excel. I didn't understand Excel. I didn't understand network marketing, never heard of it, but I trusted him. So because of him, I become a network marketer. And then it opens the door to where then I get hired by Kenny Trout. After I get hired by Kenny Trout, I get hired by Avery Johnson in Alabama. I come back. The Dallas Cowboys, Jerry Jones's daughter, owns the Texas Titans now, so they hire me and make me a consultant to the Dallas Cowboys. I even had the insurance card with the star on. Really good insurance, by the way. And we won more than they did, by the way. That's a whole different story. But that's kind of a joke. Not really. But anyway, so then I do that, and then one of my former players starts a company and calls me up. Now, Al, I've never had the biggest month I've ever had in this industry is $129,756. That was my,
129,000.
right? Not a bad month. But it
No.
was one of my former players. Okay. And he starts the company. So I go to work and my life changes. We blow it up, do great. And then another guy that's a very dear friend of ours, Al, you and I know him very well, knows that the company I'm with all of a sudden is failing. And, when that happens, it can be can take your heart out. And so he reaches out to a guy that owns a company and has that guy reach out to me. That relationship put me in the company that I'm in today. The success that I've had as a basketball coach to the network marketing industry put me in front of Terry LaCour. This
Yeah.
This business has done nothing but open up door after door after door after door. But those doors open because you pay the price to win. You show up. You don't show up late. You show up early. Hell, Al told me to get on here 5 minutes before I was here at 10:45
Quarter
my time. Yeah.
Yeah, you are.
And that's why doors
Guy.
open. Folks, you
Yeah.
treat people well, you work hard, you do what you say, and I promise you the gift for all of you will be greatness.
And on top of that, doors will open up for you.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something, guys, as you climb this ladder called network marketing, RD, come on, RVP, SVP, SVP, whatever. As you climb the ladder to the top, you can see clear, like being on top of a mountain, you can see clear as you get to the top. And not only that, the other eagles flying up there in other companies, we all know each other. Like next week, I got a guy making $1 million a month. is going to be my guest speaker. And then I got Jordan coming next week. I see. I'm trying to get you guys to understand this industry as a whole is amazing. And here's my good friend Scotty Popsicle, just to sharing this with you, having a down home conversation with tell you you can do it, get off your rear end and go for it. Mr. Scotty Popsicle, give us just a word or two. Hey, guess what? I just ran. I had in the book here. Look at this. This brings back some memories, doesn't it?
Oh my gosh. What a world we
That was
live
on.
in.
That was on Steve. That wasn't on Kenny's jet. That was on Steve jet. They all had jets, private
Hey,
jets.
once you fly private, it never grows old.
No, it
You get on
doesn't.
that private plane, and I mean, like, here's
I
my
was.
parting words. Here's my parting words. Um, Somebody asked me, where does it start? I think it starts with hope, not necessarily belief. You know, you got to kind of hope that maybe something good can happen. Because, you know, you can't always believe in something right away when you get started. You could be at something for a while and, you know, you're not seeing the results. So it's hard to believe. So I think it has to start with hope. And you know, you have to be hopeful. And there's a reason, you know, there's a reason we have hope. And then our hope will develop into belief. Um, and when you start to share your hope and your belief, and it starts to translate into success in your business, your marriage, your friendships, whatever it is you're doing, um, people are going to gravitate around you. They're not going to see you come running and run the other way. When they see you coming, they're going to look forward to hear a good word from you and give you a good word back. But, you know, and this is an ageless industry. I'm 63 years old. So, and you know, one of the things you know, I used to always say, why is it that Jim Voigt, why are these guys always so good? How can they continue to recruit all these people? Well, you know, here I am, you know, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 40. Well, you know what? As you get older, you know what happens? You met a lot of people. You know,
Mhm.
you live long enough, you got a few friends. You know, you've made a lot of, and I'm a list maker, Al. I mean, literally, I make lists all the time. And you know, our company has these things called leaderboards. So my goal is to get on the leaderboards, and I literally make lists.
Yep.
I ain't afraid to call in a favor too. Just so you know, I'm not afraid.
That's right. Leaderboards. We have that as well. You know, you just remind me of something. I forgot all about it this morning. I got another slide I want to show you before we end the call, folks. I was out taking my walk this morning at 4:30, and I got my first lead. Mr. Clemens, can you show that real quick? I want to show y'all something. This is 4:30 this morning. I take two walks a day, as you guys know. 4:30 this morning, I was taking a walk. Guy said, Al Thomas. And I had my headphones on. I was listening to my Spanish. And I heard it. I was reading his lips. Said, Al Thomas. And I walked over there. He goes, oh my God, you don't know who I am, Al Thomas? I was in your organization. He's from Pakistan. He said, I was in your organization up in Oregon. And I never forget you. You're the man. And I said, what? He goes, yeah, I was in Excel with you. And I said, oh my God. I said, you're not going to believe I got Scotty Popsicle doing my conference call here in a couple hours. He says, what? I go, yeah. I said, here, subscribe to my channel, which he did. I said, now, let's take a picture together. I'm going to show everybody my conference call. Excel guy. I just taking my walk this morning. And I'm telling you, folks, like Scotty said, as you grow older, you'll get more and more people that'll join your organization, but you got to just be out there. And with that said, Scotty, thank you so much, Mr. Free Clemens. Mr. Scotty, wind us up and take us home.
Just thank you, Al. Al, I am forever grateful for you. And I say this, and I know you don't want to hear it like this, but I mean, brother to brother love is
Yeah.
amazing. What you've done for so many people, Al, um, and what you did to inspire me for all those years. But more importantly, thank you for your friendship.